Hi everyone. Today we are going to look at the first chapter of the second unit in the 10th Standard English textbook. The second unit is titled Frames, and as you might have guessed from the title, this unit deals with literature that is related to films and filmmaking. The first chapter in this unit is an article by Satyajit Ray titled Project Tiger. It is a portion or an extract taken from Ray's memoir, Childhood Days. So, who is this Satyajit Ray? Let us find out. Satyajit Ray was an Indian filmmaker, writer, and illustrator who was born in Kolkata. He was one of the greatest filmmakers of the 20th century, celebrated for his work such as the Appu trilogy, The Music Room, The Big City, and Charulata. He was one of the leading figures of parallel cinema. Our chapter, Project Tiger, is based on how Ray managed to shoot the scenes of a film which included a tiger. Films and animals, or rather animals and films, seem to be an interesting combination. Come to think of it, have you seen animals acting in films? Have you ever thought how the directors make it possible? What are the possible dangers which may occur while using animals like elephants and tigers in films? Have you ever thought of these questions? If you haven't, Ray's article will make you think of all these questions and help you understand the problems that filmmakers face while using animals in films. Ray very interestingly narrates the experiences he had had while shooting a film which had some scenes of a tiger in it. He starts off his article by saying that no one, absolutely no one, or no other film industry can defeat Hollywood when it comes to making films with animals in them. By the way, which film industry is known as Hollywood? The American film industry is called Hollywood. Hollywood is an area in Los Angeles, California that is considered the center of the movie industry in the US. So what do we call our very own Malayalam film industry? It's called Mollywood. Mollywood is a nickname for the Malayalam film industry. The word is a combination of Malayalam and Hollywood. Now that we know the nicknames of the American and the Malayalam film industries, let us check out the names of some other famous film industries that we have in India. The Hindi film industry is called Bollywood, the Tamil film industry as Kollywood, the Kannada film industry as Sandalwood, and the list goes on and on. Okay, enough of that. What were we talking about? Yes, we were talking about Ray's comment about how no one can beat Hollywood when it comes to making films with animals in them. Do you think that's true? Have you not watched films in Malayalam which had animals in them? Of course we have. The Malayalam film industry has made animals perform in movies in the earlier times and in the recent past. We have had movies like Kadinde Makkal, Guruvayur Keshavan, Gajagesari Yogam, Mrigaya, CID Musa, Parava, Puli Murugan, etc., to name a few from a very long list. Because animals are a part of our lives, they become a part of films too. So it's no wonder that film industries all across the world make use of animals in their films. But of all the industries that make films with animals in them, Hollywood tops the list in Ray's opinion. The Americans' love for animals is well known. Animals are as much a part of their films as humans. Ray goes on to say that he remembers watching quite a few Hollywood films in his childhood that had an Alsatian called Rin Tin Tin in it. Alsatian is a type of dog breed. He says that this dog's acting was more attractive than a human actor's. Later, Ray also got to watch 3 or 4 other films with a collie called Lassie. A collie is a sheepdog of a breed originating in Scotland, having a long pointed nose and long thick hair. When Ray watched films that had this collie named Lassie in it, he felt that the director could make Lassie do anything. The performance of the dog in these movies was that good. These were all dogs that were well trained and they were quite famous. The money these animal actors earned for acting in movies was almost the same as what real film stars got. Their owners made quite a lot of money from just one film. Pretty impressive, right? Ray understood how reverently or respectfully these animal actors were treated only when he got a chance to see the shooting of a film when he had gone to visit the Disney studio in Hollywood once. He narrates the surprising experiences he had while he visited the Disney studio. The main character in the film was a large dog. When Ray reached the studio, the shooting had not yet started and the cameraman was getting the lights ready. While the cameraman got the lights ready, it was customary or usual for actors to be present for a rehearsal. They would show the cameraman where they would stand, how they would walk, etc. When it came to very famous film stars, this rehearsal part was done by their stand-ins. A stand-in is a substitute, a person who stands in for another and someone who looks almost the same as the real star. The real stars arrived only when the lights were ready and it was time for the shooting to begin. Ray knew all about these stand-ins, and as he was standing there waiting for the shoot to start, he noticed a few actors moving about the set. He also noticed that the main character, the large dog, was standing calmly on one side. When the cameraman shouted to everyone to take their positions, every other actor except the dog moved. The dog remained where it was. This confused Ray, and he wondered whether the next scene was one in which the dog was not needed. Ray wanted to clear his confusion and ask his doubt to somebody, but before he could ask someone, something strange happened. What was that? A little dwarf. A dwarf is an unusually short person. A little dwarf came from somewhere. He was followed by another man who was carrying a hairy dog skin. Then, to Ray's absolute astonishment or surprise, the dwarf went down on all fours on a chalk mark on the floor like an animal. To go down on all fours is to crawl or move on hands and knees. Can things get more surprising than this? A dwarf going on all fours like an animal? When the dwarf did this, the man behind him draped or covered him with the dog skin he was carrying. Then the dwarf started slowly moving through the chalk mark, using his hands and knees, and the cameraman got busy with adjusting the lights. It was only after watching this scene for quite some time that Ray understood that this dwarf was that large dog stand-in or dupe, and he was being paid for it. A stand-in for a dog. Imagine how famous the dog was to get a stand-in for itself. Ray says that every animal in a Hollywood film is well trained. Even though it is not difficult to train animals like horses and dogs, Ray asks us if we have ever heard of trained ravens. A raven is a large bird of the crow family. We know how difficult it is to train crows or birds of that type. But Ray says that even this was made possible in Hollywood. Once, Alfred Hitchcock, the producer of some of the best suspense movies in Hollywood, needed different types of birds to make a film called Birds. What he needed the most were ravens. He needed at least 100 ravens. So to obtain ravens, notices were placed in newspapers all over America, asking people to contact the filmmaker if they knew how to get trained ravens. A few days later, someone responded and he was asked to bring his birds. He came with almost 100 trained ravens. The training of the ravens that he brought with him had certainly not gone bad. Even if the ravens couldn't do anything extraordinary, the very fact that they could obey the command to perch quietly in a row was a result of good training. Ray then continues with his article by talking about animal films made in India. He says that even though it is quite difficult to find trained animals in our country, some films had been made in Bombay and Madras that had animals like elephants, horses, and tigers in them. And from the acting of these animals in those movies, it was clear that they were used to obeying orders. Ray says that in Bengal, it was sometimes possible to find some very smart dogs, especially the police dogs. He talks about how he and his team succeeded in getting a good performance from Bulo, the dog in the film Padher Panjali. Even though a dog is difficult to deal with, it is not impossible to get good performances from dogs. But what would one do if one was in need of a tiger in a film? Ray and his team had to face this problem too when they shot the film Gobi Gaine Bhaga Baine. Gobi Gaine Bhaga Baine is a Bengali fantasy adventure comedy film in which the character Gobi, who is banished or sent away from his country, meets Bhaga in the forest. Bhaga is another character in the movie who is also sent out of his country or kingdom. As they walk around the forest aimlessly, they see a tiger and freeze. Here, in the context of the story, to freeze means to become motionless or paralyzed with fear or shock. So they both freeze in shock, but the tiger doesn't bother to even look at them and it just walks about. So this was the scene that Ray and his team had to shoot. They wondered where to find a tiger and finally thought that the easiest place to get a tiger was from a circus, because in a circus there are always trained animals. Luckily for them, Bharat Circus was visiting Calcutta at that time, and Ray got an appointment with the Tamil manager of the Bharat Circus and went to meet him one morning. The manager was very happy to receive Ray and his team and ordered South Indian coffee for all of them. After having heard the reason for their visit, the manager sent for Mr. Thorat, the ringmaster, who too was a South Indian. A ringmaster is a person who manages the performers in a circus ring. This Mr. Thorat was a strong man who looked like a Nepali, and he did not look more than 40. He had an old scar on his forearm which he said was caused by a tiger. Ray and his team informed the ringmaster that they needed a tiger and that they were planning to shoot at a place near Shiori in Birbhum. Birbhum is a district in West Bengal. The scene was where they wanted to show the tiger in a thick bamboo forest. All that they wanted the tiger to do was come out of the bamboo forest into an open space, move about calmly, look at the camera if possible, and then return. Mr. Thorat, the ringmaster, assured them that the tiger from Bharat Circus would do it. The manager asked how long they would need the tiger for, and Ray answered that they would need the tiger for 2 hours, plus the time taken to travel to and from Shiori. The manager agreed to put the tiger in its cage and send it in a lorry. The manager also invited Ray and his team to go and take a look at the tiger. When Ray saw the tiger, he couldn't stop himself from asking if it would be easy to set the tiger free in the bamboo grove. To this question, Mr. Thorat answered that he wasn't sure and that he had never let the tiger out of his cage on his own till that day. Hearing this, Ray and his team wondered if all their plans were going to fail. It was not possible to show the tiger's trainer with the tiger, because if he was shown, then the characters Gobi and Bhaga wouldn't be petrified or frightened on seeing the violent tiger. That was not possible. So it was not possible to show the tiger's trainer along with the tiger. After a long thought, Mr. Thorat came up with a solution to tie a thin but strong wire on the tiger's neck. but the hair on the tiger's neck would be made flat by the wire and it would show on camera. To avoid this, it was decided to use a collar made of tiger skin and fix the wire to this collar and then tie it around the tiger's neck. The shooting was fixed in a village called Nottingham in Kolkata. There they found a bamboo forest where the meeting of the characters Gobi and Bhaga and the tiger was supposed to take place. When Mr. Thorat, the ringmaster, reached the shooting location with the tiger, there were about 25 people there. A few local people had taken the shooting team's permission to watch how they would manage the tiger. Mr. Thorat had brought the tiger in a lorry and the cage was covered. When the cover was removed, Ray and his team were surprised to see not one but two strong, fat, and healthy tigers. Mr. Thorat explained that he brought two tigers instead of one because he did not want to take any risk. If one tiger didn't get the scene right, he said they would use the other one. The cameraman placed the camera on its tripod. A tripod is a stand with three legs on which you place the camera. He kept the camera in a way that it faced the bamboo grove. All the people who had come to watch the shooting were advised to stand as far back from the camera as possible. But Ray and his team and Gobi and Bhaga had to stay comparatively closer to the bamboo grove because it was necessary to get at least one good shot that showed them together with the tiger. Mr. Thorat's men had got everything ready and they had fixed a 5-foot iron rod to the ground about 30 feet away. A rod is a long straight bar or pole of wood or metal. After having fixed the iron rod on the ground, they took a thin long wire and fixed one end to the collar made of tiger skin that the tiger was already wearing. The other end of the wire was tied tightly to the iron rod. The door of one of the two cages was opened and Mr. Thorat called out to the tiger. The tiger responded immediately and jumped out of its cage to the open space outside. What happened next was something nobody had expected, not even Mr. Thorat. He was equally shocked and surprised as the rest of the people who had gathered there. The tiger was supposed to walk very calmly, but instead of doing that, it started jumping around with great energy. It jumped, it rolled on the ground, and it dragged its poor trainer, who was with all his strength, holding tight to the tiger's wire to control it. Ray and his team could do nothing, or they didn't know what to do, and just stood around watching this strange circus that was happening right in front of their own eyes. The camera was still standing on the tripod, staring into the bamboo forest, but the tiger showed no interest of going there. After the tiger calmed down, Ray and his team somehow managed to take the few shots they needed. The story would have ended there, but when they reached Kolkata and looked at the scenes with the tiger, they understood that the camera had not worked properly. The shots they had managed to take were too dark, and it was difficult to tell the difference between the tiger and the background trees and leaves. There was nothing else they could do except to reshoot those scenes. Once again, they spoke to Mr. Thorat and he agreed to give another chance. This time, they found another bamboo forest, but this one was closer to Calcutta in a village called Boral. The lorry arrived once more with Mr. Thorat, the tiger, the steel wire, the special collar, and the iron rod. But this time, with the lorry came the entire village of Boral to watch the shoot. Ray and his team told the villagers that they would have to stand at least 70 feet away from the camera. But no one listened to them. They were too excited to listen to the advice. Because they didn't have any more time to waste arguing and explaining with the villagers, Ray and his team set the camera and signaled to Mr. Thorat to open the door of the tiger's cage. The moment the door opened, the tiger came out with a loud roar and rushed straight at the villagers who were standing behind the camera. The crowd that consisted of about 150 people disappeared as if by magic. After this great burst of energy, the tiger calmed down and, like a very obedient child, walked over to the spot where the film team had chosen for it to walk and walked very quietly as the team wanted it to and walked slowly back to its trainer. This time, even the camera worked perfectly as Ray and his team realized 2 days after when they returned to Calcutta and saw the scenes they had shot. So, after having listened to this experience of Satyajit Ray's, do you think it is easy to make animals perform in films? I leave you with that question. See you in the next video.